Stardew Valley 1.6 introduced a ton of brand new features, but one of them kind of drastically changes the way the game plays. And yeah, clearly by the title, I'm talking about books. And sure, technically lost books were in the game already, but those don't count because those are lame and stupid, and these new books added in the update are extremely cool. It is as simple as that. So in total, there are 26 books that you can collect across the valley, and you can get them through a whole bunch of ways, ranging from simple purchases to completing quest lines to even just random drops. So today we're going to be covering absolutely everything book related in Stardew Valley, including the new booksellers, what each book does, and how you can find them. So without any further delay, let's first talk about the bookseller. If you've taken a look at the calendar at any point after the 1.6 update, you've probably noticed these little hot air balloons, which let you know that the bookseller will be visiting on that day. You don't need to worry about keeping track too much though, because whenever the bookseller is in town, you get a nice little pop-up letting you know. So the bookseller will visit Stardew Valley twice every season, and he can always be located in this section of the map here, across the river and right above Joja Mart. That said, allow me to introduce you to Marcelo. What a happy little man. Fun fact about this guy, if you reach 10 hearts with Harvey, you'll actually meet Marcelo in that 10 heart event. So it's pretty cool to see that he came back to the game in some other way all this time later. Another cool thing about this guy is that he literally doesn't sleep. He's open all day from the moment you wake up at 6 a.m. all the way until 2 a.m. So there's no reason to rush over there and buy out the entire stock the moment you can. Although you'll probably want to once you figure out what some of these books do, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So once you go talk to the bookseller, you can see that there are options to trade and options to look at his shop. So first let's talk about the shop. You probably never guessed, but the bookseller's shop is where he sells books, if you can believe that. Okay, but seriously, the caveat here is that this obviously isn't every single book to exist in the game, considering there's 26 in total, like I mentioned earlier, and these range anywhere from 3,000 gold all the way up to 50,000 gold. Yeah. Some of these are not cheap, so be prepared to break the bank over a literal book. The economy in Stardew Valley is so cooked. So that's practically everything you need to know about the shop tab. Moving over to the trading tab, this is where the late game integration comes into play. If you've already collected certain books, you can collect them again as many times as possible and use them later on to trade for goods in this shop. Currently, there are 16 items in total that you can trade for using your books. So before we move on, there's a couple more important things to note about this trading menu. You won't be able to trade a book that grants you powers unless you've already obtained the power from that book. Meaning you have to read the first copy of a book that you found before you can trade other copies later on. So that sums up everything you need to know about the bookseller. Very cool dude, very expensive books. Now let's talk a little more about the books themselves, how you can find them, and what they actually do for you. Essentially, a book in Stardew Valley is used to give you some kind of advantage or power, and in some cases, experience towards a skill. Once you have a book, you can read it, which consumes it for some kind of power. Any of these powers gained by reading a book will be visible in the inventory's new UI tab, which is called Special Items and Powers. So now that you know what books are capable of, we'll talk a little more about how you can get your hands on every single book in the game and what each of them does for you. I'll try to get through these pretty quickly, and of course, I'll have the link for the wiki in the description where you can find all of this information as well. In Stardew Valley, there are two major types of books, power and skill. So let's start with how you can get all 19 power books. So first up, we have the Animal Catalogue. This book allows you to access Marnie's shop whenever she isn't around, and personally, I think this is a godsend. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Marnie, but I swear to God, the woman is never working when I need her to. So to earn this one, just purchase it from her shop for 5,000 gold, only starting in year 2. It can be purchased as many times as you'd like. Next is the Book of Mysteries, and this one gives you a slightly greater chance to find mystery boxes. Ironically though, this one can only be found in mystery boxes or in golden mystery boxes. The Dwarvish safety manual makes bombs deal 25% less damage to you. It can be bought from the dwarf for 4,000 gold and can be bought as many times as you'd like. Next we have Friendship 101, which makes you become friends with people a little faster. This one can be purchased from the bookseller for 20,000 gold starting in year 3, or given as a prize from the new prize machine in Lewis's house. Horse the Book gives you a little extra speed when riding a horse, and this one can be bought from the bookseller for 25,000 gold. Jack Be Nimble, Jack Be Thick gives you +1 defense, and this one can be bought from the bookseller for 20,000 gold, only starting in year 3, or it can be obtained from artifact spots. The Jewels of the Sea book gives fishing treasure chests a chance to yield roe. This one can be bought from the bookseller for 20,000 gold in year 3, or obtained through treasure chests while fishing. Mapping Cave Systems is a book that gives you a 50% discount on the item retrieval service from Marlin in the Adventurer Guild. This one can be found in a box in the back of the Adventurers Guild, but you must slay 1,000 monsters to open the door. But you can also buy additional copies from the bookseller for 20,000 gold, only starting in year 3. Monster Compendium gives monsters a small chance to drop double the amount of loot. This one can be bought from the bookseller for 20,000 gold in year 3, and this one can be dropped from any monster in every situation, no matter where you are. Next up we have Ol Slitherlegs, what is that name? And this one allows you to run a lot faster through grass and crops. This one can be bought from the bookseller for 25,000 gold. Next we have the Price Catalogue, which lets you see the value of all the items in your inventory. This one can be bought from the bookseller for 3,000 gold and can be bought multiple times. The Alleyway Buffet gives you a greater chance to find items in the trash, so if you love digging around trash, then there you go, I guess. This one can be found in the gold trash can between the blacksmith and Joja Mart, through a hidden hole in the fence right here. But you can also buy additional copies from the bookseller for 20,000 gold, only starting in year 3. The Art of Crabbing gives crab pots a 25% chance to yield double. This one can be bought from the bookseller for 20,000 gold starting in year 3, or obtained as an Iridium tier reward on either day of Squidfest if the player didn't already get it. Next we have the Diamond Hunter. This one gives every stone a chance to drop a diamond when mined by hand, meaning that it doesn't include things like bombs. This one can be bought from the dwarf in the volcano dungeon on Ginger Island for 10 diamonds. The treasure appraisal guide will give you a better selling price when you're selling artifacts. This one can be bought from the bookseller for 20,000 gold in year 3, or can be found in mystery boxes and artifact troves. The Raccoon Journal gives weeds a greater chance to yield mixed seeds every time you chop them. This one is given as a reward for completing the second raccoon item quest in the Big Tree, and this one can be bought from the bookseller for 20,000 gold, only starting in year 3. Or it can be traded from the Raccoon Wife's shop for 999 fiber. Next we have Way of the Wind Part 1, which lets you run a little bit faster and can be bought from the bookseller for 15,000 gold. Then there's Way of the Wind Part 2, which makes you run even faster, and this one is bought from the bookseller for 35,000 gold, only after you've read Way of the Wind Part 1. And finally, we have Woody's Secret. This one allows any tree that you've chopped down to have a 5% chance to yield double the wood. This one can be bought from the bookseller for 20,000 gold, starting in year 3, or can be found from chopping down trees. You're probably also wondering, what happens if I get another copy and read the book a second time? And the answer to this one varies a bit. For these two books, Price Catalogue and the Animal Catalogue, you get nothing. But for Mapping Cave Systems, Monster Compendium, and Jack Be Nimble, Jack Be Thick, you'll get 100 combat experience for every subsequent reading. For Woody's Secret, the Raccoon Journal, and the Alleyway Buffet, you'll instead get 100 foraging experience. Jewels of the Sea and Art of Crabbing will give you 100 fishing XP, and the Dwarvish Safety Manual and the Diamond Hunter book will give you 100 mining XP. Every other power book that wasn't previously mentioned will distribute 20 experience into each skill every time you read another copy. Plus, if your skills are already maxed, the XP that you would normally earn from reading more copies just goes into mastery instead. And as a little bonus, any book in the game can be given to Penny as a loved gift, so there are definitely plenty of options for what to do if you find yourself with extra copies. Now that we have the power books out of the way, let's cover the remaining 7 skill books. Combat Quarterly is a book that you can read to gain 250 combat experience. This can be bought from the bookseller for 5,000 gold, found in fishing treasure chests, mystery boxes, found by chopping trees, or it can be sold by the traveling cart. Next we have Bait and Bobber, which rewards you 250 fishing XP from reading it. This one can be bought from the bookseller for 5,000 gold, or found in artifact spots, mystery boxes, treasure chests, or in crates within the mines. The Book of Stars can be read to gain 250 XP in all skills. So if you've already maxed out your skills and unlocked the Mastery Cave, this book will instead give you 1,250 Mastery points. You can purchase this one for 15,000 gold from the Bookseller, in mystery boxes or in golden mystery boxes. Next up, we have Mining Monthly. This one you can read for 250 mining experience. This can be bought from the Bookseller for 5,000 gold, found in mystery boxes, or found from chopping down trees. Next up is my personal favorite. This is the Queen of Sauce Cookbook, and this one lets you learn any Queen of Sauce recipe that you didn't already know. Meaning every recipe in the game will be learned, not just those that have already aired on Queen of Sauce. It can be bought from the Bookseller for 50,000 gold, and this one is by far the most expensive book in the game. Next is the Stardew Valley Almanac. You can read this one to gain 250 farming experience. It can be bought from the Bookseller for 10,000 gold or given as a prize in that new prize machine that we had mentioned earlier in Lewis's house. Next is Woodcutter's Weekly, which you can read to gain 250 foraging experience. This can be bought from the Bookseller for 5,000 gold, or from the Traveling Cart, or from the merchant at the Desert Festival, and can also be found from chopping down trees. And yeah, that's going to be all 26 books in the game and what they do for you. And with that, that's going to wrap up every piece of information that you need to know about books in Stardew Valley. So I think I'll wrap up this video here since it was kind of a lengthy one. Thank you so much for watching and sticking around to the end. I really hope you learned something new, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.